This video was brought to you by Noble Knight Games. More about them at the end of the video. Hey everybody, Kimberly here, and yep, you guessed it, I'm in the top 5 place in my basement, which means that I am bringing you another top 5 list. This one, as promised, is my list of top 5 card games. These are my go-to card games when I want to play something fast, fun, and just have a blast. Now, I think there's nothing better than a 5 to 20 minute card game, and sometimes I like playing them kind of back to back to back. And one of these games you can kind of play endlessly, so when I get there, you'll know it. But I'm going to start off with my number 5. These are, again, card games that have just cards, and in the first case, you do have some tokens, but it just shows you who's winning. My number 5 is... Love Letter Batman, or Batman Love Letter. I don't really know how to say it. But this is Love Letter, Batman characters, but the reason it's this and not Love Letter, and honestly not any of the other Love Letter versions, is because Batman allows you to get a bat symbol when you knock someone out, not just by getting to the end of the round and being the last person standing, but by knocking them out with character cards. And in the regular Love Letter, you can knock 2 people out in a 4-player game and then get knocked out by that last player, and you kind of did all the heavy lifting, but you get no credit for it. So in Batman Love Letter, you do. Now, the basics of this game is that you will shuffle up these 16 cards. That's it, just 16 cards, and there's an itemized list of all the different characters and how many versions of that character there are. 1, 2, or 5 in the case of Batman's. And you're going to shuffle up the 16, take one out, and put it face down over by the box, and then all 4 players... I'm doing this for a 4-player game. In a lower player count game, you're going to put out more cards. But you're going to put one to the side. You don't know what it is. It might be, who knows? I mean, it might be the Joker. And then you're going to pass one card out to every player. Everyone's just going to have one card in their hand. They're going to look at it. And, this is poker face, classic poker face. So everyone's going to have a card. Then the start player is going to draw a card from the top of the deck, look at one of their 2 cards, and play one of their 2 cards, keeping the other card right here, as close as possible to themselves. So they're going to play a card out and they're going to do what it says. Now, there are a variety of things you can do. You got Batmans, and Batmans are going to allow you to guess other characters, not Batmans. You can't guess the other Batmans, but you're essentially just picking one person and looking right at them and saying, you've got Harley Quinn in your hand. And then if they do, they play their card face down and you get a Batman symbol. Done. It's so easy, and if it's wrong, they just say no. And I like the rules. They say in there that this game, you could just lie and not tell what you have, but don't play with people like that because that's cheating and that's no fun. So I say I totally agree with the rules, 100%. Then it's going to go to the next player. They draw a card from the top, and they're going to look at their cards and go, oh, I want to play this one. Sometimes your card combinations force you to play one card over the other, and when that happens, everyone knows what you have. or they know you have like one of 2 or 3 hands, and it's kind of fantastic. And I do have to say that the group that I play this with always know that I am fudging everything in the sense that it makes it look like I'm doing something, but I'm always trying to make people think I'm doing something else when I've got something else in my hand. So it's my double bluff. And I just like, when you play with the same people over and over again, it's just so much fun because you start to get to know what they do and how they play and what kind of strategies they have, because it's a limited game. There's 16 cards and there are only so many combinations. And it's just loads of fun. I love Robin. Robin plays down number 4, and then you get protection until the next round so no one can like attack you or make you discard your card or guess who you are. And the whole goal is to be the last person standing. And if there are more than one person standing at the end after all the cards have been drawn, it's the person who has the highest number. So you're essentially trying to take out the folks with the high cards in their hand. So there's nothing better than pointing at someone and saying, you got the Joker. And then they're like, yep. But they play the card down and they're like, whoops. Right? You think you have it made because you have the highest card in the deck, but you don't. Just a lot of fun. I think Batman Love Letter is just fantastic. I think it's just loads of fun, and it says on the box 5 minutes of fun. I think it takes a little more than 5 minutes. It's more like 15 or 20 if you play the whole thing. You're going to 7 Batman symbols. So if you can get 7 of those little Batman symbols or more, you trigger the end of the game and hopefully you win. But just tons and tons of fun. Love it. Love it. All right, I am super excited to move on to my number 4 because I am moving into cooperative space. And I honestly love working together and playing games where we're all on the same team. And this card game doesn't disappoint with 50 missions and a trick-taking heart. You might have guessed it by now. My number 4 is The Crew, The Quest for Planet 9. I love this game. When it came out, it blew me away. I'm like, trick-taking and cooperative, what are you talking about? And then we played all 50 missions, and they get harder and harder. But essentially, there are 4 suits, 4 different colors of 1 to 9 valued cards. There are also 4 rockets or trump cards, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you're going to shuffle all those cards together, and that's going to be the deck of cards that you are going to be dealing out to players, and they're going to have in their hand for that round. You also have a goal, and you're going to flip over these tiny little cards. They're like half the size, and those are going to be the goals. And players are going to draft them in turn order by taking one of those goals, saying to the other players, I think I can win this trick and have this card in the trick hand that I win. Now, it doesn't mean you have the card in your hand. It just means you think you can win that card. And then players are going to play in silence. And you're going to start off by trying to gain those particular goals. Now, the game gets harder and harder as you go, where you have to get certain tricks before other tricks, or a balance, or none at all, or all these different kinds of features. And there's also a really cool communication token that you can play to other players. And you're essentially saying, I need to give you information. I need you to know if this is the highest card I have of that particular suit, if this is the only card I have, or if this is the lowest number that I have. And so you're telling everyone else at the table, I need something to happen, and there's no other way for me to communicate this other than with my communications token. Because sometimes they just don't know, and there's no way for you to tell them because you're not allowed to speak, you're not allowed to communicate. You're working together, but you are trying to see, like, how can I do this? If I'm leading with this trick and I'm trying to lead into something, how can I make sure that Lewis gets the card he needs this turn without him leading next round? Or maybe that's impossible for him to get it because he needs to take the trick. But you're always thinking about what to do, and there's just enough to play with. There's a lot of shuffling in this because you've got your goal cards, your objective cards, but then you also have your cards that you're playing with. But the rockets are interesting because they trump everything else, and you also can win with those, which is just fun. It is just fun. When I play The Crew, we have a great time. And if you don't get it, just play that same mission again and then win it the second time. If you don't get it, try it a third. If you win your mission, go on to the next one. You can play as much as you want in the night. And so it takes 15 minutes. It could maybe be an hour of your time. But essentially every goal that you have takes about 15 minutes. I mean, really, you can finish playing within 15. You play a game, great. Much like Love Letter, 15, 20 minutes of fun. I think The Crew really did something fantastically special when they released this, and I do like this version over their follow-up feature, Deep Sea something. I think it's Deep Sea something. It's over there. But I do like the Quest for Planet 9 the best. So this is my number 4. All right, I am just getting right to it because honestly, these are so fun. And as I talk to you about these games, all I want to do is play them. I mean, they're fantastic. So my number 3 that I'm moving into is an oldie but a goodie, and it's one that I love sharing with players, especially if they've never even heard of it. And in this, you are making one of 2 choices on your turn and hopefully setting yourself up for success. The game is packed with colors. It is Colorado. It's Colorado. Okay. So let me get this set up here. This is a 2 to 5 player game. Takes about 20 to 30 minutes to play. And you're just going to shuffle up the deck of all those different chameleon cards that you have. 7 different colors, and there are going to be 9 of each of those. There are also some wild chameleons. There's going to be some +2 cards. But you're going to shuffle that deck up and set it down. Then you're going to place out cards in the center of the table, 1 for every player in the game. And what you're going to do, those are going to be spaces for you to play out cards. So on your turn, your choice is, do I take a column of cards that has 1, 2, or 3 cards in it? You probably don't want to take one that has 0 because you really want points. You're going to take one of the columns, or you're going to draw from the top of the deck and then play a card out in one of the columns. You can only have 3 cards in each of those columns, and there's 1 column for every player in the game. That's it. That's the game. So what are you trying to do? You're trying to rack up points, but because there are 7 different colors of chameleons, you're going to take them into your play area, and at the end of the game, you are only going to be able to score 3 different colors. So if you start getting a 4th color, and a 5th color, and a 6th color, because players are trying to thwart your column that you're really building up for yourself, you're going to start taking negative points for excess of 3 columns. And the way that you score those 3 columns are the 1, 3, 6, 10, 15, 21. That's the range, right? That kind of a number point scale. So for 1 card, 1 point, 2 cards, 3 points, so forth. So you will collect these. You'll get the 2 points or just plus 2 points. The wilds you play at the end of the round, at the end of the game when all the cards have been drawn. You got to this is the last round card. And you can play that in any of your columns, and you really want to get to the 6 cards. You know, you really want to make sure that you get to the 21 points because that's where you bank big. But you're just choosing. Play a card out, or I take one of those and just put them in my player area. When you take in the column, you're out for that particular round, but you jump right back in the next round. And players are just going to go around turn order, playing a card or taking a column. It's great. It's really, really fun. You play several rounds based on the amount of players that you have so that you can kind of like mitigate a bad round, essentially. But it's just fun. It's delightful. It has just enough choice and just enough like player interaction that you are talking at the table, having a great time, and just kind of relaxing. This is a very relaxing game with just enough choice. Again, Coloretto, lovely. Play with more players than fewer. I think the more it takes to go around the table, the more exciting it gets when you draw your column. Fun, fun, fun. All right, we are moving on to my number 2, and I have to say my number 2, again, really took me by storm, much like The Crew did. It introduced drafting in a simple way that, again, was so shareable, and I cannot get over the artwork. Honestly, the artwork and the combinations are really where it's at with this game. That's why it rose all the way to my number 2. It's another one I share with other players just to show them how fun and how cute and how adorable games can be, particularly modern card games. So my pick is Sushi Go. Sushi Go is just lovely. 2 to 5 players, takes about half an hour to play. I think it might be the longest game in the mix, but all these games are about 20-25 minutes long. Now, the cool thing about this is there are 108 cards in this game, just cards, and you shuffle, massive stack. And you're going to have 3 rounds in the game, and players are going to be looking for combinations in a variety of ways. And you're going to be drawing cards. So let's say you've got a 5-player game, the max player. You're going to be drawing 7 cards, and it goes all the way down. So if you go fewer and fewer players, it's 7, or it's 8, 9, or 10 cards based on the amount of players you have. So the fewer, the more cards you get in your hand. But you're going to be looking at your hand. And what you do is you simply just pick 1 card, put it face down, and then pass your deck to the left. That's it. This is just classic. I mean, this is like, you know, basic entry-level, like, origins of card drafting that we have in the industry, which is fantastic. And then when everyone's done it, you simultaneously flip over the card you selected, place it into your player area. And then you grab the deck from the person to your right, and you do the same thing. Now you look at that hand, and you pick one of those cards out, place it down, pass it. And you will simply do that until all the cards have been drafted and played into everyone's player area. So everyone's going to play the same number of cards. They're going to get the same number of opportunities to look at a hand, pick one, and then pass it. Now in the second round, you pass counterclockwise. In the third round, you pass clockwise again. So there are 3 rounds of this drafting, but at the end of each round, you'll score. And what you're actually trying to look for when you do this picking card and putting it in your player area are a variety of things. You've got your classic 2 cards get you victory points. That's your tempura shrimp. You've also got the 3, which is your sashimi. It takes 3 cards, but that gives you 10. So it's a little bit bigger bang for your buck, but it's also harder to get, especially if people see that you're going for these that are all or nothing. There are other cards that just give you a run of things, so if you get more and more and more dumplings, you'll get a higher and higher score, but if you just get 1 dumpling, 1 point. That's the 1-3-6 scale as well. You also have a wasabi card that you want to play down first, because the next nigiri card that you play, either a 1, 2, or 3, is then multiplied. So you kind of set things up for timing. Otherwise, you just get a 1, 2, or 3 for that nigiri. And then my favorite of all is the puddin. And you get puddin, and puddin's the only card that stays round to round to round. And at the end of the entire game, you're going to look at who has the most puddin cards, and they get the 6. Whoever has the least loses 6, and anyone in between is okay. But all the cards are going to get scratched except for those puddin cards. And it's just really, really fun. It's a fast game. It's a cute game. And I think if you can get the Sushi Go, the bigger box, that's fantastic. There are more choices. There are more cards to move in. You kind of get to create your own menu of really, really cool cards and features. But this is the classic. This is the pick and pass card game. Comes in the teeny tiny tin. Super fun. Easy to play. Easy to learn. Just loads of adorableness. Sushi Go is my number 2. Okay, everybody, super thrilled. This is my number 1. And you know what? It's a number 1, but it's like a number 1 plus a 1.2 plus a 1.3 plus a 1.4. And I have to say, this is the card game I take on every single trip. It is the card game I can fit in my back pocket or in my purse and take with me to every function because it's played solo or with other players, and yes, it's cooperative. The game I'm talking about is Sprawlopolis. So Sprawlopolis and Naturopolis and Agropolis and Combopolis. So I'm going to put them all up here. We probably can't even see them all. But these little wallop boogers, just so easy to transport. 18 cards in this game. So fun. Again, it is a nice solo puzzle game that you can play in 15 minutes, but it's also a lovely game that you play with other players, just passing in turn order. So what you're going to do in this game is you're going to shuffle up all the cards. On one side, you have the city side, and it's in 2 quadrants, and there are roads and different symbols. So that's one side. Those are just going to be the side you build your city with. You're going to build out in this central play area, 1 card at a time. And on the other side are all these grading criteria. These are going to be the way that you score the game. So you shuffle up the cards and you pick 3 at random and flip them over to the scoring side. And you are simply going to say, these are the ways we're scoring. And that's what you're going for. You're going to earn points based on those 3 criteria, which means every single time you play, the combination of those 3 with the 18 cards, kind of endless. That's the replayability that's part of Sprawlopolis and all the other Opolises. Now, what you're going to do then is play 1 card on its city side face up in the center of the table, and that's going to be your start card. The start player is going to draw 3 cards from the deck, and everybody else at the table is going to draw 1. And so you're going to look at those 3 cards that you've got as a start player and decide, where do I want to place my card so that it matches alignment. You keep your cards horizontal or landscape, and they go landscape to landscape. You're not allowed to turn a card portrait and put it up against a landscape. So they always have to go in the same direction, but you can turn them around. You can essentially do a 180, and you can place your card out to the side of the existing card. You can place on top of it over half. You can do it over the vertical half, the horizontal half. You can do it over just a quadrant. And players are going to be placing cards out legally, one at a time, building up this metropolis, building up this Sprawlopolis, and you're always going for your 3 major goals. So your goals will change every single time, and that means that the reason for you playing your card in the way that you do is for that particular purpose. Now, you have 2 cards left in your hand after you've played 1 out, which means you will pass those 2 cards to the player to your left, and now they have 3 cards to pick from, and then you'll draw 1 card to hold in your hand for when it comes back to you. The blocks on every single card are broken into quadrants, and you can have the blue, which is commercial, the green, which is park, the gray, which is industrial, and the orange, which is residential. And there's also going to be those roads. Now, why do you care about those things when you've got all these other goals to think about? Well, at the end of the game, you're going to subtract a point for every road that's in your city, which means you really want to connect your roads and make one massive road, because no matter how long it is, it's just -1 point. As well, you will look at the largest connected blocks of each of the 4 types, and you will get 1 point for each in that connected section, just your largest section. So you want to keep all those blocks kind of together. So you're grouping your colored blocks of your 4 different types. You're keeping your roads long, or making as few roads or starting new roads as possible, and you're going for your 3 goals, which you will score. There is a range of points that they think you should earn based on that particular card, but that's essentially your score. You want to reach that score in the corner of all 3 of your cards added up together. You want to reach that score or more. And that also takes into consideration the subtraction of the points that you're earning for your roads and the addition of the points for all of your block sections for the 4 different types. So essentially the game takes place over 15 turns, and once you have played that last card, your 15th card, that's going to end the game and you're going to tally up your score. It is so much fun. It is so replayable, and I love the Naturopolis adds something new, and it adds different goals, and then Agropolis does the same thing. And if you want to combine all 3 of them, you play Combopolis, which I do, and I have. And I have Ultimopolis too. Ultimopolis is in there. It's like it's slid into the wallets, and they're so easy to transport and play. This game, Sprawlopolis, the OG, is my #1 card game for its versatility, for its just playability with a variety of player counts. The time is perfect, and the replayability is just out of this world. I love the design. I think it's super smart. I wish I thought of it myself. It's my #1 for card games. Thanks for staying tuned to my top 5 card games. I'll see you next time, folks. Bye.
Here at Noble Knight Games, we've been carefully growing the world's largest selection of board games, role-playing games and dice, war games, miniatures and paints, card games, and more. Going on 25 years now. Our rustic castle contains more game and hobby goodness than you can shake a stick at. Complete with careful packaging and the finest customer service the land can provide. You can buy, sell, trade from anywhere in the world, just like nature intended. Noble Knight Games.